Welcome back to Four Wheel Adventure Crew. My name is Voss, and today I'm here with Angry Camper, my buddy James, and he's gonna do some Q&A because he's been following me for a bit and has a lot of questions that you guys been asking on the channel as well. So take it.
Welcome everyone. I am the Angry Camper, as he said. We are coming to you right now from an absolutely amazing Carson Hot Springs on Barney Riley Road, right?
Yeah,
Barney Riley Trail.
Yep.
Out in the beautiful California wilderness out here. And I basically wanted to take Voss from behind the camera, put him in front of the camera to pick his brain about a lot of these things that, viewers have questions. And every time you see these questions come up, it's nice to get an answer and actually hear it from you about things that happen.
Yeah.
So to start off, you've been doing this for how long?
Well, we started off-roading, mild off-roading dirt roads, fire roads with my friends summer of 2016. Back then I had a 2005 Grand Cherokee that I put some Rubicon wheels on and a mild 1-inch pucks to lift it up a little bit and to clearance the wheels. And I didn't even have a 4-low in that Jeep because that Jeep was just a big Subaru. And my friends had XJs. And we just kept going out, exploring basic roads and having fun at it with our kids.
So when you first started going over rocks and boulders and heavier trails, what was the point you knew that it's time to get a different vehicle with higher clearance or bigger tires?
So I think it was McKinstry Peak, the trip we had. My friends had XJs on 29s and 32s, I believe. The biggest one back then, we had 32-inch tires, and I had 31s or 32, almost 32s, the factory Rubicon wheels. And the reason I didn't have a 4-low, and my transmission kept going into limp mode because I would overheat it going up the hills. And I was like, man, those old XJs, they just, get through everything, and I can't do it on this new Jeep. So that's basically when I spent $500, bought the white Jeep, the Crew Chief, and it had no motor in it when I got it.
Oh, it didn't even have a motor?
Nope.
That's crazy.
Because I bought it, the guy wanted to scrap it it came from Carson, Nevada. So this thing basically is a Nevada vehicle, and it's been there the whole time.
It's close to home right now.
Yep.
It feels at home.
Yep.
That's awesome. So with this Jeep and then putting the stuff on it, you're famous for on your channel of everything that happens on a trail, you are able to fix anything. We have seen you weld, we have seen you grind, we've seen you change out U-joints and axles, we've seen CV shaft replacements, we've seen tires being put back on the rim. What prepared you, like your toolkit? So all these things happen on the trail, right? And so how did you start to develop the things to bring, and how did you, start to develop that kit of tools?
Well, basically the toolkit for off-road is whatever I do on my vehicles is I do everything at home. And prior to do off-roading, I used to do track days with race cars. Well, race cars, in our terms. Just take an old car, modify it, and go take it to a track and pay a couple $100 to go have fun on the track. And off-roading's a lot cheaper than doing that. So
right.
Basically, I've been tinkering with cars ever since I was 18. That I've been just trying to, have my car and make it unique. I always drove unique cars. Never cared for new cars or anything like that. Never chased that. I was like the old beaters and just, make them my own, make them custom and stuff like that. So putting a toolkit together was basically, I'm working in the garage on it. Okay, this is the set I need of tools. So I went to Harbor Freight, got that, is it 250 piece, whatever toolkit you got.
Right.
And now I have that same toolkit with some extra, sockets that are bigger, in my 2 tool bags that I have. And basically you just got to go, what's the most common bolts you have on your vehicle? And like Jeep's having 18 millimeter. Not a lot of toolkits sell not 18 millimeter sockets or
Right,
wrenches.
right.
So that's something that you have to buy extra outside the kit. So that's vehicle specific. So if you would be a Toyota, you would be everything 14 mil, 8, 17. So basic metric kit would be fine. Then you have to know if you have any Torx bolts and stuff like that. And Jeep is half Torx, half everything. So it's a mix of everything. That's the most craziest vehicle ever out there.
So what would you say in your earliest days when you were putting together all these tools, what would you say were some of the things that might have been hyped up online that you found to be a just total waste of money? What things would you say these are completely useless?
Bringing air tools. That was one thing people like, hey, you got to have a compressor for air tools. Battery tools surpassed air tools a long time ago now, because if you need anything, you got battery operated tools. Like nowadays I carry a grinder, I carry impact wrench. I don't have any big ones like the M18 or anything like that, but that's something I need for Christmas. If anybody wants to send me one, sure, I need that. But usually I just bring big sockets for big bolts, but that's really rare case. Rare case when you will need your 36 mil to take your axle off. That's when you break it bad. But overall, just basic tools, pliers, pry bar, hammer, those things is a need, at least somebody in your, in your group.
So walk us through what you would consider your absolute most insane repair that you've made out on the trail.
Well, we did Tanya's black Jeep. We were going on a 3-day camping trip up to Coyote Flats. And as soon as we got up, we were coming up Highway 50, and as soon as we're getting close to the summit, her car shut off, and we didn't know why. We looked at her temperature gauge on the cluster. It was showing below 210. Those know that XJ's 210 is pretty much where your needle is always at 210. And hers was below. So we're like, okay, what's going on? Luckily, we carry our OBD2 and the tablet. So we turn that on, and her needle showing around 200, but she was actually at 260. And we don't know if that's the time when we blew the head gasket or it happened prior to that, but she ran out of water and blew the head gasket. So me being me, and I don't want to ruin a weekend because she has a rooftop tent, kitchen stuff, everything. I'm like, I don't want to lose a vehicle and put them in my car and go and leave the car somewhere stranded. I said, screw it. We're just going to limp it up. We stopped every 20 minutes and put water in it. Luckily, on the map, I would find creeks, and we were just putting creek water into the radiator.
That's great.
Just
That's great.
putting it in. We got to Garnerville here in Nevada, and I went to AutoZone, no, O'Reilly, I don't remember, one of those two, and I picked up a head gasket from there. It was like $30. My brother was leaving a little bit later than us. I told him to stop by my house, pick up a special socket for the head bolts and my torque wrench, so I can actually torque it properly to 110 or whatever it is. So I changed the head gasket on the trail on the Jeep Cherokee. So let's put it that way.
That's insane.
That was the main thing, and you guys can see that in one of the videos we were finishing up on that day. And sucky part is the next day we overheated it again and it blew, so we just towed it home after that. So it was no save, but the head was 24 thousandths out. So it was it was way off.
It was a fun day.
Yeah.
A fun ride.
Fun trip.
So let's switch gears from mechanical stuff and let's move over into recovery gear. There's a lot of talk, there's a lot of controversy, there's a lot of people that have a lot of opinions about, soft shackles, hard shackles, this kind of ring, this kind of thing. In your basic kit, and I think we'll probably pick up the camera and take a little walk around towards the end. What do you actually keep inside your vehicle for just winching and recovery methods?
So basically I have a 7/8 factor 55 30-foot
kinetic rope?
Kinetic rope, there you
go.
That's
got
the word. Then I have a ARB snatch strap with 30-footer. I have a 30-footer non-stretch strap, basically for winching. Tree saver, 3 soft shackles, a hitch receiver hard shackle or metal shackle, And basically, a lot of people say you got to get rid of all the metal out of the things, but with switching over your winch rope from the cable to the synthetic, you don't have that energy. So if you want, you can go and watch a bunch of recovery people. If they cut the line when it's under tension, it just drops. There is no spring back. There's none of that. So getting rid of all the metal is good, but it's expensive at the same time. And I really don't want to be wasting money on things that you can, break or whatever. So whatever I have, that's what I have. As I slowly transitioning, I got some soft shackles, so you can loop to whatever you want, because some of the vehicles don't have recovery points. You can wrap it around something. So basically, those are the things that I have. And the main recovery tool that you got to carry with you, no matter what the conditions are, is a shovel. Because you never know. Sometimes you have to shovel a hole for your tire to go back on.
Right.
So,
well, in a previous video from just a few weeks ago of the Hellhole Reservoir trip, that was a winchapalooza.
Yeah.
That was the epic winch fest of all time.
And that's a good thing. I mean, everybody needs to, when you go out, doesn't matter if you're going to use your winch once in a year, but guess what? That was the time you needed to winch either yourself or somebody else.
And so in that video, there was a couple places where we had to use a rock to loop the winch around, the winch cable around a rock. Now, let's say you get somewhere where it's out in the open and you can't necessarily back down. You need to get up the hill, and there's no trees and there's no rocks. What sort of recovery options do you have when you get into a situation like that?
Basically, depending on the soil. So if you can dig a hole, there's a method with the spare tire and the high lift jack, if you have that, to create an anchor, basically. But
really,
yeah, there's a way. I mean, we're not in the sand area, but there is a way. A guy dug a hole, put a spare tire, put the looped it through, and tied it to his high lift, and it was down below, and he was able to pull his vehicle out of the hole.
That's crazy.
Being in the rocky area, like we were stuck here in the snow once, and there's not much. There's just sagebrush and everything. And my Jeep slid off the hill, and we just could not get it back on the trail. And we had to winch off a sagebrush. Basically, we just have to dig up to the root, put the winch around, try to winch as much as you can, because you're not pulling dead weight out of something. You're just trying to get traction. And by doing that a few times, we were able to get my Jeep back onto the trail and kept on going. So yeah, you gotta find your surroundings, and that's another thing is, we don't venture alone. I will not gonna go out for recovery or for anything by myself, unless it's like I run somewhere. So that's why we try to go as a group all the time, and it's a lot more fun. You spread the load between vehicles. That's the biggest thing about each of our vehicles are set up differently.
Right.
So my vehicle is all recovery, punch the trail through, everything. Tanya is a heavy loaded pig because she has a kitchen and everything. So, and her vehicle will need to do some more work, and then we'll be able to show it in a full detail.
So speaking of these recovery situations, I've noticed just personally that I don't see a lot of traction boards on anybody's vehicle, and it seems like maybe those are a little more useless than useful, would you say?
As many times as we try to use them in different scenarios, different snow, in this Sierra cement that they call our snow,
yes,
it's it'll just get you 4 inches or a foot further stuck than you were before. Getting out in the snow that you can deflate and drive out, you won't need traction boards. As many times as we used them, I had very little success. And yes, I did watch a bunch of videos how to use them properly and everything. It just doesn't work in real life as good as it looks or as it sounds in theory.
Let's talk about some of the new people out there that are new to off-roading. There's a lot of talk about what to do to your vehicle first. Like, what should be the first mod? Let's say you buy a stock one of these and you want to start doing stuff to it. In your opinion, as someone that's been doing this and watching people come up, what would you say would be the first, second, and third thing to do to your either JL, JK, XJ, YJ, or whatever, or 4Runner? What would be the first thing to do, and then second and third?
Basically, depending on what you want to be doing, I would start first would be tires. Get quality tires, and depending on what you're going to be doing. The reason I always run KO2s is because they're great in the snow, they're great in the rocks, they're overall good tire for us. We don't see much mud out here, and yes, if you see me get stuck in the mud, I can't climb out of the mud because of these tires. But this Jeep started with 31-inch tires and a 3-inch lift, and went from there up to 37. And it's been basically, as my experience was getting bigger and I wanted to go do bigger stuff, I went to 33s. We ran a Rubicon on this Jeep with one front locker, lunchbox locker. I ran the whole Rubicon in 33s, and those were mud terrains. Those are the only set I had. I had one set of KM2s on it in between the KO and KO2 tires. And then I went to 35s. I ran the Rubicon on 35s. I had an ARB locker, and I melted the airline. Didn't have a spare with me, so I ran the whole Rubicon without lockers on 35s on the XJ with long arms. So that's doable, no big deal. And then of course now on 37s and Gladiator and Rubicon axles, it's basically basically this is the final modification. I am not gonna put 1 tons on this thing. That's not gonna happen. There's no point.
So you just mentioned lockers. You have tips for people that don't have lockers of different methods to take different lines, or how do you negotiate a lot of this if you don't have lockers versus if you do? Is there a big difference?
Basically, depending on the terrain, of course, and you pick the most straight, flat line. So, like on the trip here, we had my daughter's boyfriend's 4Runner, and he basically has nothing in it. We just did tires and lift on it, and he pretty much followed my footpath, basically, of my vehicle, and I drove it the way I wanted him to drive. So basically, the lead vehicle, as a lead vehicle, I know what vehicle behind me, and I want him to follow my lead because he's never been off-road. He's 16 years old, never been off-road by himself, and he made it to camp without any issues. So it's just picking the right lines, and by picking the lines, you just got to look at the most straight approach angle you can go, just most straight way you can get up there. And if you see a big rock on the way, and if it's not, it's big enough to where you can drive over it, and then try to avoid it, drive over it. It'd be a lot better for you.
Yeah, I noticed that. That was one of the first pieces of advice that I got was from Voss here is to drive over it with your tire. Don't try to, because you'll hook up your differential on it.
Yep.
Your pumpkin will get stuck, and you'll be sitting here just spinning.
If it's big enough to where you can clear it with your tire and your body when you cross it over, and you don't, if you don't have a rock slider, you can, as long as you can clear it, that's going to be good.
What I would like to add for the people that are new for off-roading, this is an extremely addictive sport. It ropes you in. And I mean, you hit this obstacle and you clear it and you're like, yeah. And then you see a bigger one and you clear it and you're like, yeah. And the next thing you know, you're like, okay, well, I need more gear. And that is easy to get drawn into that whole addiction of buying gear.
I am a very bad influencer. Yes. I influence people to spend your hard-earned money.
But it is a hobby that obviously is worth it, because if we pan the camper around, and we will when we start looking at some of this stuff, the average person in a Prius is not coming here. And the reason that we do this is to come to nature and to be part of nature and to see what our rivers and our streams and our beautiful state have to offer. Our mountains have so much beautiful terrain to see. I mean, you've seen things, lakes, rivers, streams that you just wouldn't see except for on someone's Instagram pictures or something if you did not have this kind of vehicle. You want to spend a minute talking about our trail etiquette? I mean, it's nice to have, viewers understand that when they're getting into this, that there's a code of ethics that we have that you kind of follow out here. There's a way we behave on the trail. There's a way we behave to other off-roaders, the way we treat the places that we go. You want to hit on some of those important points?
Basically, if you go out and you enjoy it, treat it, basically leave it better than you found it. If you find, trash, like the campsite next to us, somebody left and they left a bunch of trash in their fire pit. It's not going away. It's just going to be here. Like the hot springs is one of the places here that I would say been trashed quite a bit by a lot of people. And a lot of people do come out here and do the community service, you know, and they never get their, you know, thanks or, you know, thumbs up for them for doing that. And we came out here, did the, you know, just getting mud out of the bathtub one day. So, and kudos to the fans and friends that came out with us to get that done. So those are the kind of things, it's a common sense. And I know lately common sense been
Uncommon.
So it's basically one of those things is we want to be nice to everybody and we expect everybody to be nice to you. We're not trying to be a-holes to anybody around here or anywhere on the trails. And it's one of those things is slower vehicles, you know, they let, if somebody's on your tail, just let them by. And the same thing, you know, if we were coming out of Barrett and we were going slow because Tanya's steering was iffy. We had a couple Jeeps come up behind us. There was just two of us. We had 4 vehicles of ours. We moved over, they went by, and we kept on going at our slow pace just because of that. So there's always that, you know, finding the fine way to get out there, talk to the group. We were coming down a hellhole. We had 4 vehicles coming up, and we had 15 coming down. So I came out, talked to the guys. I told them, hey, we got 15 vehicles coming down. There was 4 of them coming up. They're like, no problem, we'll move over. And we went down and they went on their way. It'll be a lot faster that way when you have the communication. And, you know, there's for off-roading, the UTVs, ATVs, there's a call sign. So if your vehicle passes by and shows you 2, that's not a peace sign. It means there's 2 behind him.
Yep.
1 is behind, and then the last person shows a fist. That means he's the last in chain. So a lot of times I go by and I say 5. They think I'm saying hi to them. No, I'm saying 5 vehicles behind me. And they just take off going when I just told them there's 5 vehicles behind me. So those are the kind of things that people don't understand. So that's why I try to stop sometimes and tell people, hey, I got 5 vehicles behind me. You know, just FYI, if you can stay in this spot where I just got around you, just wait, they're coming. Because in a dusty trails, we keep distance because you want to have a distance so you have visibility, because the roads are bumpy. Nobody wants to puncture a tire or, you know, blow out a shock just because they went over a big rock or a big dip and busted their vehicle. So
100%.
So that's the trail, you know, etiquettes and stuff like that. And same thing in the snow, which is the biggest one, is usually it's a single track. If you see a bunch of cars coming up behind you and you know, you can't move over, just stop. And if capable vehicles, they will always get around you and keep going. If you're stuck and you're, you know, struggling, just you know, ask people to help you turn around and go back, because if you're struggling going uphill at whatever elevation you are, it's gonna get even harder going up. So if you're struggling and you know, don't want to continue struggling, it's best that you turn around and head back, find a good spot, enjoy the snow wherever you can, because we'll go as far as we can go, get stuck, turn around, and either get off the trail, and if somebody wants to go past us, more power to them. So that's basically kind of like just, you know, be nice to everybody. That's the main thing.
And just to kind of finalize the whole etiquette out here, it's important to remember that the more trashed these campsites become and these trails become from garbage and people just mismanagement, the more they get shut down. We're looking at shutdowns going on in Moab right now of 317 different miles, right?
Yeah, you
because
got hit hard.
People need to clean up and take care. Maybe enough people didn't get beat as a kid, you know, from their dad to pick up and don't litter.
And the other thing is in trails, if it's a hard trail, people start creating bypasses.
Yeah.
That's what ruins everything for everybody, because now you got, you know, trail is rated, let's say 8, and somebody goes in there and they punch a trail over the obstacle and create it. Now that bypass is a level 4. So now it takes all the joy out of it. Now, because you know, you can just drive your slightly modified vehicle. So that's why, a lot of people, frown upon when people go out and create bypasses. And that's why we have some of the trails like Rubicon, Fordyce, a bunch of other trails where they go and they block all that off with big boulders. There's a lot of community work that involves into all that.
And we're really definitely thankful for all those Jeep communities that
Yep.
that do put their time and their effort into for free to make sure that
And
we
I
can all
try
have
to,
a good time.
Every time I know
Yeah.
a group that's responsible for keeping the trail up, I try to, put them out on the front to people know that there's a group of people behind the trail that, if you go out there, you enjoy this trail, it's because somebody went out there and volunteered their time to get it open for you.
100%. So do you want to just spend a few minutes just talking about air pressure? I know that it's a common question. People always ask, what should I run? What should I run? I've noticed, and of course, I give a lot of credit to this guy. I've learned so much from this guy, and this is definitely a person that's trustworthy and is really a good teacher about air pressure. So tell us a little bit about what you run and what people should run for how big and how small their tires are.
Yeah, so basically it's all comes down to your tire load ratings are. So I run, I believe,
Are these E's?
yeah, I think that's an E. So that's a not that heavy duty. I run my tires on the rocks anywhere between 12 to 15. On the snow, before beadlocks, I would run safely down to 5, and that's basically where I would encounter rims spinning inside the tires or coming off the bead. That's just because of the driving style. But I would say snow, try to go as low in the single digits as you can. So let's say 8. If people say you're driving 50, let's say you're on the snow and you're at 15 psi, and you're struggling, drop it down to 10. You'll see that you'll get a lot easier. I had instances where we were trying to get around a group, and I try to get around them and I'm getting stuck, and my buddy goes, hey, drop it down to 3, let's see what happens. I drop it down to 3 and I'm just, without even getting a run up or anything, I just put it in drive and step on it and it just goes over. So tire pressure plays a big difference. This trip, James told me he was at 22 psi. I said go down to 18. How did that work out for you?
It was great. It was smooth. It was good. I actually got a sidewall puncture at 22 the other weekend, which it's crazy that would happen.
Yep.
I went alone with my daughter, and luckily it happened in a spot where we were able to find a flat spot and plugged a sidewall, and it worked.
Yeah,
crazy. But doing it at 18,
took you home. Yep.
Doing it at 18 here was a lot better, and I think it was anywhere between 16, 17, 18, and it was definitely a lot better. But my rig is a lot heavier, and I have smaller tires. I got a full-size Tundra that's on 33s, so it's a little scary because I do have a Project M on it. So to go like to 15, 14, that's
that's gonna be a bit too much with your
the load that's
the
on
size
that
of
thing.
the tire, and because the other thing is you got to know, like, he has 18-inch rims and 33-inch tires. Your sidewall now is about this big, so it's not that big. So if you go too low, now you have a problem where we had the YJ buggy, James. He punctured his tire because he was running at 5 psi, and then when he hit the rock on his buggy, he squished the sidewall so hard that it got pinched between the rock and the hard place, between the rim. So, and he pinched his sidewall and punctured it. So that's where you got to find that middle ground. And if you drive over and you feel a hard hit on your rim on the rock, that's too low. So you got to go a little bit higher, so where you don't have that squishiness. And that's all, basically your biggest thing is whatever your vehicle is, put the smallest rim size you can to clear your brakes, and then put the biggest tire you can to fit your wheel wells without trimming anything. So that's kind of like I would say the rule of thumb would be is go the smallest rim you can, the biggest tires you can, and then you got the more sidewall, the more cushion you got for your tires to squish and not to puncture them. So long as the tire can roll over the obstacle, it will not try to cut itself when it's too hard.
Perfect, perfect. Well, we really hope that you have enjoyed this question and answer session here with Voss, our crew chief,
Yep.
in the crew chief here. Hope it found you informational and helpful, and helps guide you along in some of these decisions that you need to be made. Obviously, you know, if you enjoy this kind of content, hit the subscribe button. Like the video if you want to. Also, any other questions that you have that piggybacks on any of this, ask it down there. We'll have cards for some of the other videos we talked about. I think the Winchapalooza is a good video.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, a bunch of recovery stuff. And yeah, I mean, the other thing is if you are in the Sacramento area and you go out and you get stuck and you jump on them recovery pages and you post your post and people just start trolling you, you know, oh, deflate this, deflate that. Some people, you know, they're in the struggle position. You guys, you know, have my Instagram, message me. I'll drop whatever I do. If I can, you know, drive out an hour and a half or two, I'll get you out. I'll do my best. And you've seen how we got some of the new vehicles through some of the difficult trails. I will spend time and get you out and get you on your way. I mean, you know, fuel ain't cheap nowadays, but guess what? Helping somebody out, we can do it. We drove out here. There was an instant that kid took his mom's Suburban and he went with friends to Hot Springs and they took the loop and he sunk it in the mud. They had a couple of vehicles with them, but they're all kids. They didn't know how to recover a vehicle or anything like that. They tried pulling him out, they couldn't do it. So she made a post out there. People weren't really, you know, helping out. It is a 3.5 hour for me to drive from my house to Hot Springs here. And I messaged them. I said, hey, if nobody's helping, me and my buddy, we can, you know, hop in and go and do it. And we did that. They tipped us gas money and, you know, that was it. And the kid was happy. He got out, he got home, made it home safe. Everything was great. So yeah, you know, message some of these people that been doing this for a while, and, you know, we can go out and help. So, you know, don't be afraid. We're nice people.
They are, and it's a community. So go on to Facebook and look up 4-Wheel Drive Adventure Group. There's a group.
Yeah,
there's a page.
There's a page. Either way, if you message the page, it comes right to my phone. If you go join the group and answer the questions because I want to know who's joining. I don't want to let somebody in that's going to be spamming something and then it's garbage for everybody. So we're adding people just wants to follow us, wants to see what we're doing, where we're going, and all that stuff. So, and that's the thing about the Facebook group is once in a while when I invite new people and meet new people like I did with James, I create posts and say, hey, we're going here. If you want to go, join us. And then sometimes I create events where I expect a lot of people to show up, like we did the Hellhole. I just did not expect that much vehicles to go on the level 8 trail, and but it was amazing. I mean, It was an experience for everybody. So join all those social media pages. I never, you know, go out there and beg for subscribers and views. If you like what I do, you're out there watching it, and cool. And you know, if you want shirts from us, you want to support us, we're trying to launch a website. Just not too creative on building it. It's out there, and we have it on a Facebook page. If you want, message me. We'll send you a link where you can buy stuff. So,
all right, without further ado.
Yep. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.